What are you thinking about here? You may be thinking about lasers. You may be thinking about explosions, small fleet, PvP gangs, maybe some large fleet battles, maybe something about the battleships, battle cruisers. So we're not going to be talking about any of that today. We're going to be talking about something very boring, and it's going to be very unfortunate. I'm so sorry, but it's something that's very important nonetheless. It just happened to me recently, a couple hours ago, actually, not too long ago. And I thought to myself, wow, this is actually super important. I really want to make a video about this. I really want to educate not only my guys out there, all of my new players that are definitely going to be surely to make this mistake, but also definitely the Eve Echoes community out there that are new players and they have no idea what they're doing. So these are the things that are actually going to be very important. They're very instrumental to help you make you a better player. But these are the things that nobody really talks about. These are the small things that add up over time that really become advanced but basic things that the Eve Echoes player will learn, or even an Eve Online veteran has learned over the course of playing the game. So what happened? So think about this. What does a 250,000 ISK, 10 minutes, and literally no combat have to do with PvP? So pause the video and think about that. Alright, so the answer is this. I was around Jita, and I was actually in Caldari space, and I was playing the markets, and I wasn't thinking about PvP. I was just thinking about making some money because I'm broke. And there I was. I finally found a great item. It was an MK5 missile launcher. And the MK5 missile launcher was selling for 20,000 ISK. And without thinking, I immediately bought this item because if you spend too long and think about purchasing an item like this, it's gone. It's just gonna be gone. So you immediately want to jump on something like this. Obviously, a mistake like this is going to be a low quantity. It's going to be gone for you quickly, so it's not going to be there for a long time. So I immediately bought that. It was successful. I had purchased it. And if for those that know about the MK5 missile launcher already, then you would know that at the time of making this video, the MK5 missile launcher is going for about 250,000 ISK. It's going for about 300,000 ISK. These are the sell orders. The buy orders are going to be for around 220,000 ISK at the time of making this video. So I thought to myself, wow, I have a definitely a potential to make my money. I can definitely resell this item and then get some good value. And this is going to be much better than doing those 3,000 ISK encounters, for example, that many players are going to be doing in PvE. So I thought immediately to myself, okay, great, I got the item. Let me take a look at where the item is, because now we want to get the item and figure out how I can resell this item and get my money, right? So I look in, and of course the region that it's in is close to Caldari space, logically, because I was in Jita, around Jita area, and it wasn't too far. And it was about 8 jumps away, and it was going to be in low-sec. Now, what do we know about low-sec? So low-sec is going to be any space, any security space that is going to be 0.4 security or lower. So over here, for example, at the top left, you can see I'm in 0.5 space. I'm in safe space. But anything lower than that is going to be PvP space. We can be attacked by players. So I had already thought to myself, okay, there's a possibility that this item could be bait. Now, what is bait? Bait is usually when players will intentionally sell something cheap when they are ready or setting up a gank, setting up an area for players to be attacked. So they could be station camping where the item was originally sold at. They can be camping at the gate that leads to the station or somewhere along that region, somewhere along that line. So knowing this and knowing how this operates, I thought to myself immediately, wow. When I pieced it together with the price and the area and space, Lynn being in low-sec, and putting it together what region it was Lone Trek. I immediately thought that this was going to be a bait, a gank here. So what do I know about Lone Trek? So I know a lot about players in general all over Eve Echoes. I have a good understanding of where players have set up. I know where all the major alliances are. I know where even the small corporations have set up as well. And this is going to be very important when you want to go around and play the markets, because you want to know what is friendly and what is not so friendly. In fact, I even know where you, the viewer, are right now. You're in the bathroom, right? But anyways, that aside, let's talk about what happened next. What happened next is I was flying this ship here, the Kestrel. And I was thinking to myself, okay, well, I can take the Kestrel and I can go secure my item that I just bought and resell the item. But this Kestrel is pretty expensive for me. It's 200,000 ISK at the time of making this video, and I thought to myself, well, I don't really want to lose this Kestrel. I want to pick up this item that's in low-sec, but I don't want to risk the Kestrel being destroyed. the Kestrel's pretty fast. It's a frigate. It's not a battleship. It warps out pretty quickly, but why take that risk? Why take the risk of losing it when I have a better alternative? So what is the better alternative here? The better alternative is actually taking one of these starter ships. And there's a way to do that here. So when you are in something like the Kestrel, you can get out of this ship by clicking on the ship and clicking Leave Ship here. Once I have left the ship, I can just simply undock and find a station that I don't have any assets in. No ships or anything like that already there, so that when I dock at that station in a pod, then I'm going to be gifted a free starter ship. For me, that's going to be the Ibis. For Minmatar, that's going to be the Reaper. It can be any starter ship for your race, and this doesn't cost you anything. You always will have this ship, so it's basically free money, a free ship here. It's not a great combat ship, but you don't need that for the purpose of what we're doing here. All we want is a body, a free body, so that if it does get destroyed, we don't lose anything. We don't lose the value of that Kestrel, that 200,000-isk ship, or whatever I could be flying in the future to pick up an item. Maybe I'm picking up a large projectile cannon for my Tempest or something like that, for my Minmatar battleship. So here we are. We've arrived at the station. We can go to the ship hangar, and we should see an Ibis here. Perfect. So this is free. I can just hit set active, and now I have a ship. Now I could definitely warp as a pod as well, but if I warp as a pod, even though I have fast warp times, I run the risk of getting destroyed, immediately getting destroyed, and having to reset and re-pick up my item. It's better to take the starter ship, because the starter ship also warps very quickly. It's free. And when the starter ship gets destroyed, I still have the opportunity to continue my journey down that low-sec pipeline and go to my destination, pick up the item, and get another starter ship. Because if I get destroyed with the Ibis, I will have another life with being in the pod. And since I landed at a station that doesn't have any ships there, I'll also have another Ibis starter ship waiting for me at my destination. So from here, that's exactly what I did. So I went down with the Ibis, and I passed about six systems, and at each system, at each interval, there were about 30 players. 30 players in one system, 28 players in another, 26 players in the next one, something like that. And they were all flying combat ships. I saw my maximal locked on target that I saw was about 5 or 6 guys camping at each area. Cormorants, Kestrel as well, some other small ships, nothing major, but they were big enough to take me out, especially in my Ibis, even in the Kestrel. I'm not going to be able to stand a chance here. I don't think they had any warp disruptors or anything like that, of course, but if they did, it would be even worse for me. The problem would be compounded. So these were the not-so-nice Chinese players in Lone Trek that, if you are watching this video at the time that I'm recording, they're probably still there, and you should be careful. They are hostile. They do want to attack you. So I ended up going and I bypassed all of them on the way to get to my item, to the MK5 missile launcher. Once I got there, I put the MK5 missile launcher into the Ibis cargo hold, and I decided to make my way back. As soon as I undocked, again, same thing. There was a cormorant right outside, I guess incessantly trying to lock me as soon as he could. There are some mechanics that allows me some small invulnerability window when I undock to make it fair, or as soon as you jump, you have that cloaking period to give you some time to stabilize your game with all the lag and etc. Using this emulator, I have a slight delay for when I finally leave the system, for example. So they weren't able to lock me, they weren't able to do anything to me, and I just kind of flew right on through. But that could have been very different. It could have been very different if I was flying the Kestrel. It could have been different if I was flying something even bigger than that. Alternatively, what I did here was I bypassed everything. They were obviously looking for combat because they were approaching me. They were moving their ship in that general direction. They had 5 combat ships at each gate, and they were definitely looking to take a fight, and they were looking to destroy everything, period. Now, whether it was a typo and the player had wanted to sell it for 200,000, which was the approximate value of the item, the MK5 missile launcher, and not 20,000, it could have been possible. Maybe it wasn't intentionally set up as a bait. But, why take that assumption and say that it was just a mistake? It was he was just trying to do a fair trade. It wasn't set up as a gank. Why run that risk? Instead, play worst case scenario. Assume the worst. Assume that it's a gank. Assume that it's a bait. that when you see this great price of an item in low sec or no sec, that somebody's trying to kill you, and somebody's trying to guard that area, that guard that station, guard that gate that leads there, and try to get a kill, try to secure some kills there, especially if it's in PvP security space. Then it's less likely to be a mistake. So then I finally got back to around Jita, where I had docked my Kestrel the first time, and then I loaded it up, and then I sold it at Jita for $250,000, and it took only about 10 minutes. It took about 10 minutes from the time of purchase, going there, warping pretty quickly in about 8 jumps, and then warping back as soon as loading it in, and then getting back out of there. It wasn't very long at all. So in this case, the lesson I'm trying to tell you here for the first lesson from my PvP guides is this. When you see what looks to be a charity Eve Echoes event, do not come with your wallet. Make sure you leave anything that's valuable behind when you try to go securing something that is seemingly a good price, or even if it is a normal price when you go to low sec. There's no need to run the risk of taking your battleships or your expensive big titans into these areas just to run the risk of having it get attacked and destroyed in low sec space. Instead, take something like the Ibis, take your starter ship, take something that's free or very low cost. And this has a cargo hold too. You can put stuff in this ship as well, and don't run the risk that you can potentially be destroyed, period. And then remember, the smaller ships that you have, they're going to be warping faster. Whereas the bigger ships, the bigger hulls, is going to take you a longer time to warp away. This is going to give you more time to be attacked. If the enemy has or doesn't have a warp disruptor, you're still going to be vulnerable to being attacked for more damage there. So this is actually a really important lesson. So definitely take a look. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit that like and subscribe button. I'll have more content for you in the future, of course, with the PvP guides as well. There's going to be more fun ones. This one's pretty boring, but hey, it's still important nonetheless. And it's going to make you a better player. These are some of the things you need to watch out for that nobody really talks about. So take it from somebody who's played the game for a long time already, from Eve Online. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate that. Next time we're going to do some PvP that actually involves missiles, lasers, explosions. I'll see you guys next time.